We want everyone to see our smart, competent female leaders and men of taste and discernment who join us. All right. So greetings, everyone, and welcome to our full council meeting for the Governor's Council on Women and Girls. It's great to see you all in person and virtually. My vice chair, the very distinguished Department of Children and Families Commissioner, Vanessa Durantes, is here with us today, and she'll be providing some opening remarks as well. So Commissioner, please say hello.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and welcome everyone. We're happy to have you. Just came off of a wonderful legislative session, and we're excited to continue the work of the council. We have a pretty full agenda today. It's the summertime, and others take a little bit of a pause. Not here. This council is ever never. We do have to take care of ourselves in terms of wellness and balancing the work, but definitely the work of the council continues. So I'm excited to hear updates and the presentations we have today. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, and a warm welcome to all of our agency commissioners, directors, and designees. We know all of you were hard at work this past legislative session, and we appreciate all of our partners on the steering committees. We had several major legislative successes. Some of the highlights include a range of laws on access for women's reproductive health care, such as allowing pharmacists to prescribe hormonal birth control and also emergency contraception. We also created a new license for freestanding birth centers to give more options to women for them to have their children, and also an endometriosis data and biorepository program to study early detection and management of endometriosis. There's a new law mandating half a credit for personal financial management and literacy for high school graduation requirements. And yes, please go right ahead, Commissioner.
I'm really excited about this one. If you recall, the council had young people come, and our young women leaders come and present their capstone projects. And the two young women from Greenwich were the impetus for this. And we are so excited that that actually has become law. And we saw it here developing our young next generation of leaders. I would say this generation of leaders. They're not, next. They're here.
Right here.
That's
They're
right.
Right here. So true. And as the commissioner said, it was those young women from Greenwich who came to this council and lobbied for that change. And here we are, excited that that has been signed into law. Also, we have an extension of existing law with respect to debt-free community college eligibility for returning students, which could really benefit women who are returning to work in new careers, and new laws to address child mental health services and kids on social media, and the list goes on. I will also highlight $6.7 million in our budget to expand GPS monitoring for the protection of women who have protective or restraining orders against abusive partners. And that came out in part of the tragedy of Julie Minogue's killing in Milford with her children right there. And there was a very large outcry and advocacy to expand GPS monitoring, not just to a few courthouses, but to all of our courthouses. So we're really happy about that. So I don't know if I missed anything that anybody else would like to highlight, but we had, I think, a really good session. All right. Well, okay. So at this point, what I want to do is have a roll call so that we can meet some of our new members. So, Madam General Counsel, are you going to start us off there?
Yep, I'll identify the agencies. So, first off, we'll have the Office of the Secretary of State, if you're on. If you're virtual, you could unmute.
It looks like, Madam General Counsel, we probably have about 37 folks who are joining us virtually.
Yep.
Okay.
Then the Comptroller's Office, are you on? Yep.
Morgan, representing State Comptroller's Office.
Welcome, Morgan.
And just a reminder for everyone in the room, there are mics in front of you, so you could just hit the button and turn the mics on. Next, we have the Office of the Treasurer.
Hi, Jen Patetti here. I'm joining virtually. And I had sent you an email, Christine. Andrea Comer will be stepping in for me for the next few months while I'm out on maternity leave. So
Yay.
And I did see Andrea on, I believe. Andrea,
yes.
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Congratulations, Jen Patetti. So excited for you.
Thank you.
Attorney General William Tong's office. Okay, now we're gonna go to legislative leadership. The designee for Senator Looney. The designee for Senator Kelly, Senator Moore, Senator Summers. Okay, the designee for Representative Winter, Representative Bora. The designee for Representative Candelora, Representative Carpino.
Representative Carpino's here. It's nice to see everyone.
Nice to see you. Thanks for coming.
Next, we have DAS.
Good afternoon. My name is Alicia Nunes. Thank you for having me. I'll be sitting in for Michelle Gilman. Thanks.
Next, we have
Welcome.
Department of Aging and Disability Services.
Good afternoon, Amy Porter, Commissioner of ADS.
Department of Agriculture. Department of Banking.
Hi, this is Kathleen Titsworth. I am actually here representing Commissioner Perez at his request. And I have a second hat. I'm actually on the Financial Literacy Subcommittee. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Secretary of State back again. Do you want to unmute, introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Mariah Moriarty with the Secretary of State's office. Sorry, I missed it when you went through the first time.
No worries.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Department of Consumer Protection.
Hi, everyone. Catherine Blinder, also co-chair with Kathleen on the Financial Literacy Working Group.
Department of Corrections. Department of Economic and Community Development.
Here.
Hi, Paul.
How you doing today?
Good. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Paula Robertson, Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Economic and Community Development.
Males of taste and discernment joining us today.
Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection.
Hi, Lieutenant Casimir Morris, Chief of Staff for Commissioner Avella.
Department of Developmental Services. Department of
Good afternoon, Gloria Jones, Director of Health and Clinical Services, Department of Developmental Services.
Hi, Gloria.
Hi.
Department of Education. I know Commissioner Russell Tucker sent her apologies because she had a conflict and she wasn't able to make it today. Department of Energy and Environmental Protection.
Hi, everyone. Annie Decker here as designee for Commissioner Dykes. I'm the Chief of Legal Planning and Regulatory Affairs at DEEP.
All right, Department of Housing.
Hi, good afternoon. Shanti Hanks, Senior Advisor for Education and Housing Stability, representing Commissioner Mascaro Bruno for the Department of Housing. Good afternoon, everyone.
Fabulous glasses.
Always.
Thank you.
Department of Labor.
Hi, Dante Bartolomeo, Commissioner, Department of Labor.
Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services.
Good afternoon, Kim Caranda, designee for Commissioner Navarrete. I'm the Director of the Statewide Services Division at the Office of the Commissioner.
Department of Motor Vehicles.
Hi, my name is Catherine Lamb. I will be representing for DMV, and we also have Tanisha who couldn't make it today.
Department of Public Health.
Hi, this is Manisha Jutani, Commissioner of the Department of Public Health. I'll need to leave the meeting a little early, so I also have Dante Costa from DPH on the call today. Thank you.
Love the branding, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Department of Revenue Services. Department of Social Services. Department of Transportation.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kathy Rouse, the Director of Communications here at the Department of Transportation. I'm also the designee for Commissioner Garrett and Galito, and I'm on the Education and STEAM Subcommittee as well.
Department of Veteran Affairs.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Ron Welch, and joining me today is
Lindsay Jessup with the DVA.
Division of Criminal Justice.
Good afternoon, Lisa D'Angelo.
Shamice Walcott, State's Attorney for Hartford.
Connecticut Insurance Department.
Good afternoon, I'm Jennifer Dowdy, Legal Counsel for the Insurance Department, here on behalf of Commissioner Mays today.
Office of Early Childhood.
Hi, Beth Bai here, Commissioner of the Office of Early Childhood.
Office of Health Strategy.
Hi, Deidre Gifford, Office of Health Strategy.
Office of Higher Education.
Good afternoon. This is Noelle Kidney. I'm representing Executive Director Timothy Larson, who's on vacation this week.
Office of Military Affairs. Office of Workforce Strategy.
Anthony Baird here representing Kelly Valeries.
Office of Policy and Management.
Good afternoon. I'm Charlene Casamento, Undersecretary for the Office of Policy and Management, representing Secretary Beckham.
And Office of Manufacturing. Paul had a conflict today, so he couldn't make it. And that's it.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam General Counsel. We are now going to move on to our first presentation by one of our newer members to the council, the Division of Criminal Justice. And we're so happy to have Lisa D'Angelo and Sharmise Walcott presenting. So distinguished ladies, please proceed.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, Sir, and the council for inviting us to present on the Division of Criminal Justice. We're really looking forward to it. We do have a PowerPoint presentation. We're not going to go through it in its entirety. I believe it'll be attached to the minutes at the end of this, so you'll have that as well, but it's just a guide for you. So the Division of Criminal Justice, we are comprised of the Chief State's Attorney, 3 Deputy Chief State's Attorneys, and 13 State's Attorneys, among others. So if you can go to the next slide, please. This is just our mission statement briefly. And then the next slide. So who we are. We can move on to the next one. Thank you. So as I indicated, the Division of Criminal Justice is made up of the Chief State's Attorney and 3 Deputy Chief State's Attorneys. Patrick J. Griffin is our current Chief State's Attorney. He was appointed in May of last year. I know I introduced myself earlier. I'm Lisa D'Angelo. In July of 2022, 2 months after he was appointed, he created the Office of Ethics and Professional Standards. I transferred from being a prosecutor in New Haven, which is where I was for 16 years. And since July of last year, I've been in that position, the newly created Office of Ethics and Professional Standards. And we'll talk about that a little later as to what we do in that, or what I do in that particular role. In addition to the Chief State's Attorney, we have 3 Deputy Chief State's Attorney. Robert Devlin is the Inspector General. He investigates use of force for police officers in the state of Connecticut, which is also a relatively new position. And then Kevin Lawler, who is the Deputy Chief State's Attorney for Operations, and John Rosado, who is the Deputy Chief State's Attorney for Administration. The Chief State's Attorney and the 2 deputies, Deputy Lawler and Rosado, are both, they work out of our Chief State's Attorney's office, which is located in Rocky Hill, along with different bureaus. We have the statewide prosecution bureau, our appellate bureau, our civil litigation bureau. We do have a newly formed Office of Policy Implementation that's new as of a few weeks ago. So Chief State's Attorney Griffin has made some changes and additions in the past year that he's been in office that have been positive for the division and moving us in the right direction. To include, we recently developed over the past year, for the first time ever, Connecticut first set of prosecution standards, which were finalized, I believe, about a month ago. We anticipate a public rollout in the coming weeks, so you can look for that. Those standards will be made available to everyone in the state of Connecticut and elsewhere. They'll be made public for everyone to review. So in addition to the Chief State's Attorney's office and those who work out of that office, we also have 13 state's attorneys who are constitutional officers. If we can go to the next slide.
Those are very small pictures. How many are they and how many women are there?
Wonderful question, Lieutenant Governor. There are 13, and out of those 13, anyone want to guess? 4 women. I am one of them. And I am one of them. The Division of Criminal Justice, it's actually very interesting how it's set up and how it's established. The Chief State's Attorney and the 2 deputies kind of handle the overall administrative functions of the division. The investigation and prosecution of crime around the state is vested in the 13 small little thumbnail photos you see around in the slide there. And Lisa went through our mission. And one of the pieces I just want to highlight is in our mission, it says, the Division of Criminal Justice acknowledges its duty to investigate and prosecute criminal matters within its jurisdiction diligently, ethically, and impartially. That's why it's such a big deal that the division just rolled out prosecution standards. And Lisa has here the book of the standards. It's not a small book. Like, this is the rules, the ethics, the code that prosecutors around the state of Connecticut are held to. And it's a very important conversation right now, and one that we're hearing in some other areas, not only within Connecticut, but also nationally. But the 13 state's attorneys.
Phone on, because we're getting comments that people can't hear you.
Oh,
So
I apologize, Lieutenant.
there we
Governor.
go. Okay.
I'm probably not talking into it. So the 13 state's attorneys, their job is to investigate and prosecute crime in their JDs, and there's 13 JDs around the area. I'm the state's attorney for Hartford, so it encompasses 18 towns around Hartford, 19 police departments. But if a crime is committed in Hartford, that's within my jurisdiction. Same for Tolland, Stamford, Litchfield, all of the 13 JDs. And within those JDs, we have Part A courts, which handle major crimes. We have geographical area courts that handle misdemeanors and low-level felonies. So the state is kind of divided, but we all come together as one collectively as the Division of Criminal Justice. So if we go to the next slide.
Thank you. So what we do, if we can move on to the next slide. So we represent the people of the state of Connecticut. What we do, we seek justice within the bounds of the law, not merely to convict. We are ministers of justice. If we can go to the next slide. So as I indicated earlier, Chief State's Attorney Griffin recently formed the Office of Ethics and Professional Standards. And as part of that, we train. And we train not only members of the Division of Criminal Justice, but we train police officers. We train many others. We have coming up, and this is kind of, we'll go into what we do with the collaborating with our community as well. But coming up, we have a Camp Justice coming up. And it starts 1 week from this coming Monday. And we have approximately 45 students from around the state of Connecticut who are entering the 9th grade, who will be coming to the Office of the Chief State Attorney for 5 days from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for a number of different presentations and educational aspects, but also some fun to learn about what the Division of Criminal Justice does, as well as other law enforcement partners who are coming in to speak with us. So with regard to so we train the public, not only the youth camp that we're doing, which is brand new for the first time, but we've also been speakers at different civilian police academies that are held by the police departments. We go into schools, we try to educate and do presentations for any school that would like to have us on various different topics to young children and things that may impact them directly or indirectly. We've gone out to schools to train teachers on minimal facts and reporting requirements. We've talked to parents about that at local PTOs, homeschool associations. So we will train anyone that thinks we have something to train them. We don't have a standard set of training curriculums that we use. We've done internet safety and things like that, but we can tailor anything for anyone. So if anyone in your agency would like training from the Division of Criminal Justice, or you think there's a group that may benefit from a training that we can provide, we are happy to reach out and collaborate with regard to that. On the flip side to that is that we are also, if you think you have something or someone has something that we could learn from, or someone that should present to us on an area, we're also very open to that. We collaborate with a lot of our partner agencies and community members who come in to educate us, to help us become better prosecutors. So not only are other state agencies like the Office of Victim Services has come in, Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, we have CCADV has come in to talk to us about domestic violence. We've had survivors of homicide that come in. So any organization that you think that we may benefit from hearing from, please reach out and let us know, because we are more than happy to collaborate. The more education that we have, the better prosecutors that we can be, the more that we know, resources are out there even, is very helpful to us. So please don't hesitate to reach out if there's anyone that you think we can benefit from training, or that can train us to help us do our jobs better. So we train the public, we train law enforcement, but we also offer a lot of training in-house for our personnel, not only from outside agencies and organizations, but from within. The prosecutors and other personnel who may have a certain expertise in an area will present trainings on different legal updates and things that are going on in our courthouses that prosecutors have to be aware of day to day, so that we meet our obligations both ethically and professionally. So the next few slides, and I'm not going to go through every one of them, are just some training slides that we have done. We do have a training facility at the Office of the Chief State's Attorney. It holds approximately 50 people, classroom style. So if anyone's ever looking to collaborate with some type of training, that's always an option. We actually just outfitted the room so that it can be hybrid. So in the past, we've done hybrid trainings just through Teams. It wasn't great, but now it's been outfitted so that the speaker will be captured on camera and such. So we're hoping to do many more trainings going forward in the future. We are, in 2 weeks, we're doing a full week detective school for detectives from around the state of Connecticut. We anticipate approximately 100 police officers from around the state for that presentation. We did a pilot program for the Connecticut State Police last November, where approximately 40 state police detectives came to that training, and then we'll be doing a refresher course for them in the fall. So we are looking to train and educate as many people as we can, our partner agencies, and we're looking to get the training we can. Lastly, just about training, we do have, I think it's a 10-week search and seizure course coming up. It'll be one night a week for the course of the fall. It used to be run out of Post Council, and we kind of are revamping that, and we're going to do it for prosecutors and law enforcement around the state. So we definitely train. We definitely are looking to be trained. So that is something that I think we do well at collaborating in that aspect.
Absolutely. And Lisa has really spearheaded the training department at DCJ. It's a new department, new division, and she has taken off. We are training all over. And the Camp Justice, Lisa kind of mentioned it, but this is really her brainchild. You know, this is something that took a lot of work to bring together, but it's a great way to serve the community, to get youth in, to start to show them what the Division of Criminal Justice looks like, to really talk about what it means to be a prosecutor and doing justice. Doing justice is in the description of a prosecutor. And I think sometimes that's missed. But with that, with all the training, we're also out in the communities. This is one way where you will see the different 13 states attorneys. You will see them in their communities. You'll see the chief state's attorney out in the community collaborating. And so when we talk about like doing the minimal facts training, some of you may have heard of minimal facts and think of the MDTs or Connecticut Children's Alliance. We partner, we collaborate with different agencies, not just state agencies under the executive branch, which the Division of Criminal Justice is under the executive branch, but also where appropriate, the judicial branch and the legislative branch, right? Providing input, guidance, maybe offering information on different areas of interest, and also sister agencies, including DCF, DDS, DMHAS, State Police, DEEP. We are a collaborating and collaborative agency. And so it's nice to be here to do the presentation to say, hey, if you have questions at DCJ, give us a call, lean in. You know, we're happy to explore different areas. We're out in the communities. A lot of state's attorneys are involved with their police athletic leagues. Here in Hartford, we have the NRZ, NRZ, different zones around the city that frequently I will visit and answer questions from the community, and other state's attorneys will do that in their areas. We're involved with nonprofits. Recently, Compass Youth Collaborative, right? Members of my office went to Compass and said, what do you do? How do you do it? What's your philosophy? How do you engage in gun violence intervention and prevention? And how can we help? And that's the big question that we're asking right now. How can we help? How can we get involved? How can we be a better partner? And I think it's a great question, and one that maybe is long overdue. And that's why being invited here to the council is such a great honor. And thank you for that, so that we can begin to collaborate more.
So I have a question and this goes to serving the community. So can you explain how those 13 states attorneys are chosen?
By the Criminal Justice Commission. And the Criminal Justice Commission is led by Supreme Court Justice McDonald. On the commission, it's a seven-member commission. One of the members is the chief state's attorney. There are 2 judges, a defense attorney. It's a diverse group, and that body interviews and selects the state's attorneys for each judicial district. And then we come up for review every 8 years before that body.
So it's a similar process to the judicial selection process, except with the judicial selection process, you know, the buck stops with the governor. So the governor can say, hey, these are the diverse people that I am nominating. So my question for both of you is, how can we get more women to be in the state's attorney's office so that they are in the pipeline? How can we get more diverse people so that they are in the pipeline to be our prosecutors, so that our prosecutors look like our diverse state?
So we're doing a wonderful job right now of bringing in diversity at our internship level. Our interns, we have, I believe we have the most diverse group of interns this year. Our fellows are diverse. And then the commission recently for the 2022 into 2023, I believe brought on more female prosecutors than males. I can speak specifically in Hartford. I went up with 2 batch of openings. The first batch was 100% women. And in the second batch, 75% women. So we are, we're doing good things there, and we're recognizing diversity. But I think it starts at the intern level, bringing young women in, showing them what it means to be a prosecutor, and then keeping them there once we have them. And then within the division, we do have a women's council, which is starting to look at the issues of addressing gender diversity within the division, and how we can retain our female talent.
Good, 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 good. And we're working on our state police force to ensure that there are more women coming into our state law enforcement as well, because we should see it at all levels. Our law enforcement officers at the state trooper level, our state's attorneys, and our judges. So thank you for explaining that. Appreciate it. All right. Anything else, ladies? Any questions?
I would just add one thing with regard to collaboration. We also have the Chief State's Attorney's Office and some of the local state's attorneys have community engagement boards. And the Chief State's Attorney is one that meets periodically, depending on what we have going on. We discussed Camp Justice, the youth camp that's coming up quite frequently. So there were a little bit more meetings then when we were talking about that. But anyone here at the table who would like to be part of the Chief State's Attorney's Community Engagement Board meeting, it's members of the community. We meet and we discuss how we can collaborate to make the division better, how we can assist people in the community. So just reach out to me and we can get you on board. Thank you.
And I would just say that our state has just made record investments in violence prevention programs. And Compass is just one example, but there are organizations across the state that do that work, and organizations that will actually go to emergency rooms when, you know, there's a gunshot victim to try to de-escalate and make sure there's not retaliation. And so I think that yes, and Commissioner Giuttani, shout out to you. Commissioner Durantis is reminding me that you chair that effort. And so I think that is an obvious place to start collaboration, because there are some amazing community organizations that are doing really great work, and they're being funded at levels that they never have been before. And it is part of the governor's gun safety initiatives. And that's one of the reasons why President Biden came here a couple of weeks ago to highlight the leadership that Connecticut is taking for gun safety and for violence prevention. So ladies, thank you so much.
So LG,
for
we have
coming.
2 questions in the room, and then we have 2 questions on virtual. So we'll start with the room.
Hi, Daylan Hemmings, Program Director for Maternal Health Equity at Hartford Hospital. I just had a really quick question, and you may have said this. I heard about the diversity as it pertains to girls or women being in your group, but I was just wondering what that looked like as far as individuals of color. And again, if you've said this, I apologize.
Yeah, so I can speak to you about the diversity, race diversity within the Hartford State's Attorney's Office, right? So at our staff level, inspectors, investigators, clerical, we're at about 50% racial diversity. At the prosecutor level, we are not so good, right? I believe that 15%, 20%, and then at division wide, our numbers are going to be somewhere around there, maybe a little bit less.
And just by way of trying to address that, we did just recently, there was legislation passed, the apprentice prosecutor statute that was just the law that was just put into effect that'll enable us to go to law school sooner to try to recruit. Because what we were finding is that a lot of people in their last year of law school were committing to other agencies or private law firms early on in their 3rd year. And we had, in order to apply for a prosecutor, you already have to be admitted to the bar. So you're talking almost a year after that others are committing to positions. So we recently in the past few years, we now have a fellowship program, and we try to get into the law schools and recruit really early on in that third year to try to get individuals to come be a fellow with us. Now we can get them to try to apply for permanent positions sooner because they won't have to pass the bar. We have an active we have Executive Assistant State's Attorney Gail Hardy does our recruitment and our internship program, and she does in our community engagement, and she's really active in trying to get out there and recruit those law students really early on and trying to get them to the division for that purpose. Thank you.
And we need a similar effort in our state police to get more because, and Kaz, you can refresh my memory, but I don't think, are we at 15% women in the state police? What are the numbers in the state police?
We're about at 13% right now. We have about 124 females at about 910 troopers, but we have 4 recently promoted lieutenants, which is, it's been a long time.
Pretty awesome. Yes, that's good. We're doing better on the leadership, but we need more incoming women to be in the pipeline and people of color. So any friends that you have, family members who want to go into the state police, it's great. And any young lawyers, there's the prosecutor's office. So we want to encourage all those smart young women to apply to both of those. And who do we have? We have Shantae. Do you have a question?
I did. I actually had a question, and I also wanted to call attention what I think you see it, that Dr. Spivey had a question. It kind of echoes her question in a sense. And my question was answered regarding, are you recruiting at the law school level? And I think you're spot on with that regarding doing it before their last year because they're already committing. And I just was wondering when you spoke of fellowships and folks at that level, women in particular, are they then basically in the career path to become prosecutors? Because when we think about diversity, that photo does not illustrate that at all throughout the state. And so I wanted to understand when you say diversity, women, of course, but ethnic diversity is very important because as we know, there's a disparity of folks of color at this level, but yet the numbers are very high in our prison system.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. The division has done an excellent job at recognizing the need for diversity and bringing in diverse candidates. The reality is that a lot of organizations are trying to find diverse attorneys, and we are competing with those organizations. So we can bring in a candidate, they may stay for a few years, get experience, and then move on to something else. Historically, the state's attorney's position, there's 13 of them in the state, plus the chief. So you could say 14 positions with an agency that has 250 prosecutors. There's not a ton of upward mobility, and that does make retaining talent a bit difficult. But we are doing better. We're recognizing the need. And we also have a talent pool where we're going outside of just Connecticut, right? Let's see what sort of diverse candidates can we get? Who's willing to come into Connecticut? A law student in Maryland. I went to law school in DC and came back home. So let's get outside of just UConn and Quinnipiac and start looking along the East Coast. And that's what the Executive Assistant Hardy is doing.
Great. Wait, so we have Commissioner Bartolome. You had a question?
Yes.
I was just going to let it go.
Commissioner Bonta.
It's slightly off topic. I'll be really fast, but I just want to commend the Office of the Chief State's Attorney because at Department of Labor, we have had since the pandemic started a renewed relationship of a task force for unemployment insurance fraud. And so we've been able to acquire funding, and the Office of Chief State's Attorney has provided some inspectors and a prosecutor. I will tell you there is much more work than even they can handle with the amount of staff that they have. So a little push for additional staff over there, I'm sure would be helpful because there's a lot more work. But it's been a tremendously fruitful relationship, and we have been successful because of them prosecuting some of the criminals who are committing unemployment insurance fraud.
And then one last question from online that kind of combines, and then we could go to the next presentation is colleges are asking, how can higher education help you in recruiting to your office? And then the Girl Scouts are asking, how early should we introduce law enforcement as a career in female youth groups?
ASAP.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so the second question would be ASAP. I do agree with the Lieutenant Governor, and that is really one of the purposes why our youth camp, the Camp Justice, is geared towards those individuals going into freshman year. There are other youth camps around the state of Connecticut that are geared towards high school students, but we're trying to reach students as early as possible to talk to them about what it is, criminal justice, and get them involved and show them what we do.
And Diana, it looks like Lisa would probably be more than happy to come speak to Girl Scouts.
I was a Girl Scout for 13 years. I was actually on the board of directors of Girl Scouts. We are female committed. And as far as how can colleges help? It's open up the internship options. We're willing to take in interns at the college level.
They asked also, what skills should we help our graduates build that could be useful for you?
So many skills.
Yeah.
Communication, people skills, just we're looking for fair people. Yeah. And I would just say with regard to the college and higher education, we are holding our first open house for colleges and college students in the fall. So you can look for information regarding that. I think it's going to be held in October after students are back to school, but that again will be at the Chief State's Attorney's office, where colleges, the administration and the students can come in and talk to prosecutors about what we do in the different units we have, different jurisdictions, and get people interested that way as well.
All right. Thank you, ladies, very much for your presentation. We really appreciate it. And now we're going to move on to our second presentation from Erin Choquette. She is the CEO of the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority, and she's going to give us a summary of our 2023 annual report.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor, and thank you for inviting me today. I am Erin Choquette, and we published our 2023 annual report this morning. Just as a quick reminder, Connecticut Paid Leave, or CTPL, refers to both the Connecticut Paid Leave Act, which is the Connecticut law that provides income replacement benefits to workers who need to take unpaid time off from work for their own serious health condition, to care for a newborn or newly adopted child, newly placed foster child, to care for family members, and for other reasons. The income replacement benefits that we provide are funded by our Connecticut workers, who contribute 0.5% of their wages up to the Social Security cap to the Paid Leave Trust. The way this money comes to us is through the employers who register with us and then remit those contributions to us. And we have been working very hard to make sure that all covered employers know this obligation. We have nearly 145,000 employers registered with us, and we're engaging in a multi-phase effort to capture the rest. There's, I think we're about 5% shy of where we need to be. But we're happy to report that we have over 3,000 sole proprietors and self-employed individuals who have voluntarily chosen to participate in our program. We started providing benefits in January of 2022, and since that time, we have paid over $375 million in benefits to over 66,000 workers. Now, in this annual report, which we issue to the legislature, we have various statutorily required elements, but we also take this opportunity to share what we've been doing in our projects, what we want to highlight. And so this report can be found on our website, which is ctpaidleave.org, on the resources page. And I can also share it, so it can be sent out within minutes. Just a few highlights from the report. In this past reporting year, we received over 90,000 applicants. We approved 70% of those applications. Of the applications that were denied, the vast majority, 79%, were denied because of failure to provide required documentation. And of that number, almost half didn't provide any documents. And I'll talk in a little bit about things we've done to try to correct for that. I'm happy to report that we're getting applications from all 169 towns and cities in Connecticut, which means that our efforts to make sure that people know that these benefits exist are bearing fruit. The individuals who received approved claims, we had over 55,000 workers, and they received over $293 million in benefits in this past reporting period. The vast majority of those claims, well, majority, 55%, related to their own serious injury or illness. The next highest number related to situations where individuals needed time off because of either during their pregnancy or to recover from childbirth. And then bonding was the next most popular reason. That can be either parent who's taking that time to create that physical and emotional and psychological connection with their newborn. Care of family member comes in fourth, and then the other reasons, family violence, military caregiver, bonding with adoption and foster care, together comprise less than 1%. When we look at the total for the year, the average duration was just under 7 weeks, and the average weekly benefit payment was just over $700 per week. So there were lots of concerns before our law was passed that employees would just apply for this benefit and take it to the max. And that's just not happening. People use it when they need it, and they only use what they need. It is critically important to make sure that our program is available to Connecticut workers when they need it. So we pay very close attention to the solvency of our fund, and I'm happy to report that we continue to be fiscally sound. We started the leave or the reporting period with $446.3 million in our trust fund. We ended the year with over $530 million. In the meantime, we received over $400 million in contributions, but again, we paid out contributions. We started receiving contributions a year before we started paying benefits so that we'd have a cushion to make sure that the fund remained solvent. And we watched that solvency with the assistance of outside actuaries, checking on 3 key metrics. And I'm happy to report that we are meeting the target for each of those 3 metrics in terms of making sure that we have enough in reserves, making sure that we have enough in case our contributions go lower than we expect, or to make sure that we have enough in case our claim rates are significantly higher than expected. We do a lot of outreach and education. In our first couple of years in the height of the pandemic, everything was virtual. We continue to do webinars, and we did over a few dozen webinars this year, but we're also able to participate in in-person events, including the Lieutenant Governor's panel on family violence in February. We also have newsletters and over 142,000 subscribers. And so we are trying to get the word out to these various populations, employees, employers, HR, insurance, and people are reading the newsletters, which is always satisfactory. And our social media presence is growing as well, with each of our audiences growing by more than 20%. Additionally, we are on our 2nd season of podcasts hosted by one of my staff members. And we talk about various issues from transgender healthcare to mental health and men and children and birth doulas and death doulas, and really anything you can think of. We have a fabulous host in Nancy Barrow, so I encourage you to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. One of the things that we're very proud of this year is that we've really improved our claims processing to make sure that we can process claims faster and that we're more responsive. One of the ways we did that was by implementing with our third-party claim administrator, AFLAC, a document dashboard. So applicants can upload their documents directly to this dashboard. They know exactly what they need to provide, and they can track it through the claims process. And if there's anything missing, then we flag it for them so that they know it's missing. People get so many emails and honestly so many text messages that sometimes our emails and messages are getting lost. But this dashboard is helping people see what's happening and make sure that they can complete their claims. We are also increasing our speed with processing claims. showing.
Can I just ask a quick question
course.
before you proceed further from there? Is there any assistance with plain language or English as a second language as maybe possibly the reasons why some of those apps are incomplete?
That's a great question, and it is something we're continuing to look at. We do offer everything in English and Spanish, and we have the ability to provide translation through outside services if need be in other languages. We also revised all of our correspondence to try to make them even more accessible and simplify the language. The lawyers in the group will understand my difficulty in the beginning of saying, well, we have to be really precise. And sometimes that means there's too many words. So we've really taken a hard look at all of our correspondence, tried to make it easier to comprehend for everybody, tried to make it less insurancy, and we have seen some improvements in that area. And it's something we're continuing to look at.
And Aaron, I had a question, and actually it was Commissioner Bartolomeo that made me think of this. There is a significant number of people who have taken advantage of this for great reasons. Have you seen any fraud? I mean, I would assume there's hopefully not a lot because you have to provide documentation, but tell us if you've seen any and what has happened with that.
Yes, unfortunately, every benefit program, I think, has a target on its back. I know that when the legislation was being debated, there was a lot of concern over individuals, the workers who were going to take advantage of the program by not really needing it. That's not the issue. Quite candidly, it's concerted criminal enterprise. The same people who Commissioner Bartolomeo and her staff know, they make efforts to kind of target us and identify if there are any issues with us. I will say that Department of Labor has been wonderful. We actually have another meeting tomorrow to talk about ways to address that. And so we have a variety of ways to try to prevent it, to try to identify it, but we would be naive if we weren't aware of the issue and working to combat it in every way that we can.
Thank you.
So thank you for those questions. Just quickly, you've seen the slide, so I don't have to read it out to you, but I just am very pleased and proud, and I really want to give credit to AFLAC for having worked really diligently to make sure that the claimants are getting decisions quickly, getting their answers quickly, and we're really pleased to show just how efficiently we are processing claims so that people who need help can get the benefits as quickly as possible. One of the things that we're working on outside of the claims improvements is on fund recovery. As I mentioned, we have over 100 or almost 145,000 employers registered with us. Of that number, the vast majority are paying what they're remitting those employee contributions, but not all. And then there's another number of employers who we believe exist by virtue of information from other state agencies who haven't registered with us. So we have engaged in a multi-phase project to identify and recover those past due contributions, which has been very successful, and we're continuing. One of the latest elements of that project is to now impose a penalty. So if employers fail to remit those employee contributions in full in a timely fashion, we are now imposing a penalty as well as interest. And when we started issuing those notices just last week, after several layers of efforts to communicate before we did that, you'd be amazed at how quickly some people just responded. We started getting some of those past due payments within the hour. So
remarkable.
People are responding, and we'll continue to work with employers to make sure that they understand what they need to do. If an employer failed to take the contributions from the employee's paycheck when they were supposed to, the obligation now defaults to the employer, because it's not fair to go back to the employees from a year ago and say, oh, we didn't do what we were supposed to do, So now it's the employer's responsibility. So that's something we're working through to get everybody up to compliance. We are also working on a redesign and replatforming of our website so we can expand all of our information, make it more accessible, make it easier to search. We've got a lot more information ready to go. We anticipate that the website will go live at the end of the summer. So about sort of on the 3-year anniversary of when we started our website to begin with. There is a way for employers to offer an alternative to participating in our program, which is to receive permission from us to offer paid leave benefits through a private plan. We have currently 708 approved private plans, about 150 of which were approved during this plan period. Many of those originals are actually coming due for renewal in the next year. So we're working with employers and insurance companies about that process. But we've also started auditing those private plans to make sure that the employees of employers who offer private plans are getting the benefits that they were told they were going to get, to make sure that their processes are compliant with our policies. So I zoomed through a year's worth of work in very little time, but I'm happy to answer any other questions that you may have. And again, happy to share our report with you.
We have a question on Zoom asking if you have staff people to assist anyone with literacy issues. Obviously, if you don't have a computer, and what can you do to help folks who may need assistance? Do you have staff that can do that?
So we have a couple of things that are available. First, even though I can't remember the exact number anymore, it's definitely the majority of our applicants choose to apply online. People can also apply by calling the claim center at AFLAC, and they can be just walked through the whole process for beginning the application. And then they're available to answer questions if people have questions about how to fill out the forms, or how to make sure that their doctor or their employer fills out what they need to fill out. So we have that call center available through AFLAC. And again, there's a language line associated with that. We also partner with United Way 211. They have a dedicated staff of 15 people who work specifically on CT paid leave issues. And they have both bilingual staff as well as access to a language line. So they're available. We are also
put those numbers in the chat too, please. Thank you.
I will do that. And we are also working on, as I mentioned when I was here a few months ago, sort of CT paid leave ambassadors. So working with community organizations to kind of make sure that social workers and town clerks and hospital administrators and court administrators, anyone who sort of works with people who are experiencing the types of conditions that we cover, know about us and are able to kind of provide that bridge of information to provide assistance. And that's something we're planning on expanding in this coming year. We have a pilot program with some of the state or some libraries and some of our larger communities, so we can go out and meet people, potentially hold office hours. So we're really trying to explore what we can do, particularly now that we can be in person more often, to ensure that folks who are feeling concerned or having more difficulty have ways of help.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Erin. We really appreciate the update. And as you know, we try to keep our meetings as close to an hour as possible. So I just want to let you know, as a report from council leadership, that our office has an intern from Live Girls She Works program who is working on producing annual report summaries of our council's work from 2019 right through 2022, so that, inspired by Connecticut Paid Family Leave Authority, that we will have those summaries available so that our new members and designees can learn about the work that the council's been doing and the work that we still have to do. So we'll let you know. We'll have an update for you at our October meeting on the availability of those reports. And because we have so many new people on our council, we just wanted to review for you the 4 subcommittees that we have, so you can decide if you would like to join one of those. We have economic opportunity and workforce equity. And the purpose of this subcommittee is to determine economic barriers that disproportionately hinder women and girls, including but not just limited to pay and work environment, evaluation and advancement in the workplace. We have an education and STEAM subcommittee, which is to encourage girls and young women to study STEAM subjects, because we know that these fields are the highest paying. And this is also a field where only 25% of STEAM jobs are held by women. So we have a lot of work to do, and the more advancements we make in this area, the better we are doing when it comes to achieving pay equity. We have a health and safety subcommittee to identify health and safety issues that impact women and girls. And so we've had some health fairs, and we're looking forward to continuing those, because those stopped during the pandemic, but we're hoping to get that back. And we have a leadership subcommittee to promote women in leadership in the public and private sectors and nonprofit world. And we've had a vast number of leadership panels focusing on law enforcement, management, corporate, educational institutions, media, nonprofit, and many more. And we're always looking for areas that might be of interest to focus on and highlight women leaders in particular areas, to give girls and young women suggestions as to how to go into and advance in those career paths. So as a reminder, when the subcommittees meet, the meeting minutes and presentations are available and are posted online on our website, the COAG website. We're also in our 5th year, so we are always sort of revising what the subcommittees do as we go forward. And I'll just ask right now if anybody has any questions about any of the subcommittees and what they entail. And if not, what we're going to do is we are going to have any of our subcommittees, if any of our subcommittee leaders have any announcements or anything they want to share, we will do that right now. And Madam General Counsel, if you're seeing anything from our virtual participants, we can go there.
No, I don't see anything, but just quickly, I know Health and Safety did a big legislative update on all the health and safety issues. So that meeting minutes are online. And Economic Opportunity, they've been working on women returning to the workforce. So that's kind of been the initiative that they've been focusing on. And Education and STEAM, they've been focusing a lot on newer initiatives on bringing computing into the school districts and different schools, and how we can provide tools to allow the districts to kind of collaborate more and bring it so the teachers are not less hesitant of teaching computer science and coding. So I think they've been doing that.
I should just say that we celebrated the young people that were stars in the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge, and there were more than 1,000 or 900 or 1,000 students who participated from all grade levels, and we met some very impressive young people, and Infosys was very kind to host us, and there were some great prizes, including some iPads that were given out to students. So very, very impressive, and shout out to all of the computer challenge participants and those that were recognized. So now I'm going to just go through the schedule for our subcommittee meetings. Economic Opportunity and Workforce Equity will be meeting August 15th at 3. Education and STEAM will meet on August 23rd at 3. Health and Safety will meet on September 5th at 10 a.m. Leadership will meet on September 20th at 3 p.m. And our next full council meeting is October 17th at 3 p.m. So one more time, Madam General Counsel, any more announcements?
Nothing online.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you to our virtual audience. Thank you to our in-person, and Commissioner Durantes, close us out.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor, and thank you to everyone who is on. I just want to reiterate the networking opportunities of this council. At one point, there were 50 people online and another 20 in this room. Can you imagine exponentially how much better we could impact the lives of women and girls in the state of Connecticut by the ripple effect of a council like this? So thank you all, and encourage your participation in the subcommittees.
Very well said, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you so much for your good work and participation.